What's up, bacon-hungry Apex men? My name is Josh, and I am a house church facilitator in Region 1. And this would be the Jesus as Prophet Q&A session. So question number one. All over America today, people choose to say nothing rather than to speak the truth in love. How would you exhort the men here to be more biblical about this? Well, speaking the truth in love is probably one of the most difficult things that we're called to do as disciples of Christ, especially in our culture where you look around and it's whatever feels good is cool and whatever you think is good and all paths end up in the same place kind of mentality. That's pretty ubiquitous among our churches and among our workplaces and friends, stuff like that. So, I definitely say it's one of the most difficult things to do, but it's also one of the most crucial things that we need to do as men. Especially, we are leaders where we work, where we play, where we hang out, in our house churches, in our families. We're called to lead. And Jesus was a great example of that, and we're to mimic him. He was not passive. He was bold. He never hesitated or never withheld truth from anyone. He spoke it like it was and said it like it was with no apologies. Sometimes it almost got him killed. Sometimes it got him chased out of towns, et cetera, but he was always quick to boldly proclaim that which God had told him to proclaim. And as such with us. A friend of mine had told me once that there is no such thing as compromise in the kingdom of God. Compromise is worldliness. Christ spoke the words of life. He had the words of life. We have his words. He spoke freely. He spoke lovingly. And why should it be any different for us? So... But I think one of the things about speaking boldly in love or speaking boldly a truth, is that it has a lot to do with our motives. Why do we do it? Do we do it because it's a commandment? Do we do it because we want to hold some sort of, slavery over people or right over people or something like that? I think it's one thing where the first thing you got to go with this is your motives. And that comes from two things. Number one, faith. Number two, love. Faith in what the scriptures say is true. Either you believe it or you don't. If you believe it, you're building your house on it. If you don't, then you won't. If you believe it, you're going to speak it to others because you love Jesus and you believe it, or you're not going to. And there's one quote Rob often speaks from the pulpit that's often really helped me in this area of my life, is that he always says that he cares more for where people are at with God than he does what they're going to think of him afterwards, after he says what he needs to say. And that's always spoke really strongly to my heart. It's like, that's what it's all about. Do I care about what Christ says, or do I care about what other people think about me? But also, you must be spoken in love. Jesus was always quick to be a refuge for sinners, to invite people to come and follow, no matter what their background, what their social class. And it's because of love that we desire to speak truth to people, for Christ and for each other. Deep down, at the very fundamental level, there has to be a deep love and compassion for the lost and for the broken and for the hurting and for those who are going to hell. And if there's not that, then you won't speak in love and you won't speak truth to people. So that, to me, that's the number one motive in my heart. Do I really love this person enough to say it? Is that really my motive? I need to always come back to that, because anything other than that, and it's a sin. I think it's a sin because we don't want to lord over people. We care about people's lives and people's hearts and people's eternity, and that's the bottom line. So I would say, if you struggle with this, or if you're a people pleaser, and we're all recovering people pleasers, because at some point in our lives, even if now we've all cared about what other people think and held it up way too high in our lives, and then maybe we're asking ourselves the wrong questions. And I guess I challenge myself with these questions. I challenge you with these questions. How can I cultivate a deeper love for the lost? How can I cultivate a deeper love for those who are dying, those who are throwing their lives away and their families away and whatever else? How can I cultivate a deeper love in that? And the other thing is, do I really believe that God's way is the best? And if I do believe that better is one day in his course than 1,000 anywhere else, then I am going to want to speak truth into people's lives no matter what they think of me, because I love them and I want them to experience all the joy and the peace and the wonder and the awe and the glory of Jesus Christ as Lord.